You are not the largest derivative of your feedstock suppliers. In fact, in many cases, you're a relatively small derivative of your feedstock suppliers. And what that means to you is you need to understand not just your markets, but you need to understand the markets that are driving their behavior because in most cases, it's not yours. What has obviously happened here over the last 6 months, well, a year now, is that oil prices have come down fairly dramatically. When we look at oil prices, what I've done here is I've indexed the West Texas Intermediate marker for crude oil to 2007. So 2007 is one. And you can see that in the early part of the 2000s, pricing was relatively low. It came up and pulled back with the recession, but recovered relatively quickly and then has taken a tumble. Now, it looks like this is kind of a smooth transition, but I'll show you some monthly data later. The other, of course, base energy is natural gas. This is U.S. natural gas pricing, and what you see there is that natural gas pricing increased like crude did after the early 2000s, but it came down, really started a little before the recession. It came down fairly dramatically, but never came back up. And so the market dynamics for natural gas and crude have separated, and that's going to be a dynamic that we're going to see into the future. The ethylene story, at least in recent years, has primarily been a natural gas story, not a petroleum story. Although there is certainly an impact there. We see propylene, which has had a little more volatility and a little more downside, and styrene, which has really just pretty much followed oil pretty closely. Styrene's tied to benzene. Benzene has a significant refinery overlap, and so that's where we see. And the other one that's near and dear to all of our hearts, of course, is butadiene. And what you see here is a lot more volatility on the upside in 2011 and 12, and a lot more volatility on the downside more recently. And this is somewhat driven by oil pricing. There's especially in Asia, there's a connection between butadiene pricing and the local naphtha prices, which are connected into crude oil. But it's not a sort of one-to-one. This is more driven by trends in supply and demand, and demand for synthetic rubber. And if that's not complicated enough, synthetic rubber has had significant impact from natural rubber trends, and so the whole market has been difficult for the last little while.